Hello, welcome to episode 22 of the Brand Spotlight. This is an interview show which I started a little while back, about a month or two ago, where I interview brands about what they're uniquely bringing to the marketplace, along with their go-to-market strategy and how it has evolved to how their original go-to-market strategy and how it has evolved to their current go-to-market strategy. Like I said, this is episode 22. We are streamed on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube. And then we are repurposed as an audio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast app. Today we have David Contract of Baby Brezza, which I've actually known for quite some time. We've had discussions, we've done some campaigns together. Before we get into the interview, I do want to talk about the sponsor of the show. That's the agency I've been building up over the last several years, Brands Connect. And what we do is we are a marketing agency that focuses on custom marketing plans that align specifically to brand specific, custom tailored to brand specific needs. Without further ado, we have David here. Episode 22 of the Brand Spotlight. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Good to see you, Joe. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So, Baby Brezza, I did a few campaigns with them, and everybody I told about Baby Brezza thought I was like the coolest person in the world. I'm like, yeah, I need to just work with the cool brands. I don't have to do anything.
We hear that a lot. And it actually warms my heart to know that we're making an impact in people's lives, specifically parents of babies. You want to work on brands, and I've had the nice fortune of working on many brands that have really, truly made a difference in people's lives. And in the case of Baby Brezza, we really do, because we make the parenting tasks easier. So whether you're feeding your baby, sterilizing bottles, trying to get your baby to go to sleep, even using diaper ointment, we have solutions that truly make things easier. And that's why I think people think so positively about us and rave about us and tell their friends, they tell their strangers, and they just gush about it. And, that's our mission. Our mission is to make parenting easier, kind of one baby, one product at a time. And we're definitely well on our way to doing that.
Okay, I'd love to unpack that. Just some housekeeping. When I reached out to Baby Brezza, they graciously agreed for the interview. David graciously agreed. But besides that, I asked them if they would like to do a giveaway, and they were so gracious. And I'm gonna pull up the instant warmer, the Baby Brezza instant warmer, which we'll get along in the interview about a little bit more about this specific product as well as their whole product line. And we do that in order to get engagement for this live stream show, and we will be doing a giveaway for anybody who comments. You could comment on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, or YouTube. All the comments come to us, and then at the end of the show, we will do a live giveaway, and we will choose one of the commenters. So that will be a lot of fun. And we will also, if you have any questions for us along the interview, you can also use that as a comment. I do want to unpack. Usually I start most interviews, or I mean that question's evolving. But the latest question that I'm starting with is to really focus on what brands are uniquely bringing to the marketplace. It does sound like you started addressing it. And you did it in a way by really explaining that you're not just a commoditized product. You didn't say those words. That's something I saw based on what you said. It really sounds like your mission is to make parenting easier.
That's right. And, there's a lot of baby products. In fact, I was just at the Global Baby Show last month in Germany, and there's millions and millions of different baby products. We focus on ones that are truly unique, truly revolutionary, that truly make a difference in people's lives. I think the best example that really, I think, has put our brand on the map globally is the Formula Pro Advanced. So most people call it the Baby Keurig in the US. They call it the Baby Nespresso overseas. And it's a machine that makes a warm formula bottle for you automatically. You literally push a button, and then it will mix, warm, dispense a perfectly mixed formula bottle for your baby in seconds. And if anybody who's listening has kids or babies, and I have three, although they're not babies anymore, you know that making a formula bottle is a bit of a pain, right? It involves multiple steps, multiple minutes, and the warming up part is excruciatingly slow. And in the middle of the night when your baby's hangry, you just want that bottle done because you want to feed your baby and get back to sleep. So that's why we don't have a huge product line. We're not a commodity. We focus on solutions that truly are unique and truly address a serious pain point that parents face. And I think that's why we've been so successful is we've been very focused. And a lot of brands, even brands that I've worked on or have been sort of at a company that had, tend to scatter. They tend to spread their wings a bit too far. And the further you go from your core, the harder it is to succeed.
So I'm going to pause a little bit and take just break that down a little bit. The way I'm understanding what you're saying more in the abstract business sense is that really in order to build a brand, you really have to stick to your core mission. A lot of people confuse mission with philanthropy, and those are wonderful, wonderful things. But the brand has to be bringing something unique to the marketplace, and all the products have to align with that brand, or else becomes confusing. And the second your brand becomes undefinable, it starts really tanking the brand.
No, you're right. I mean, listen, a brand is obviously a collection of products, but at the end of the day, if you go back to marketing 101, a brand is really a promise. The brand is promising that it will deliver something to you, the consumer or the user. So that's what I equate to like the mission. I want everything that Baby Brezza does, particularly what we make, to back up our mission or support the mission of making parenting easier. So we won't launch a product that doesn't do that. I think if you think about Apple's generally people think of Apple as one of the best examples of a brand with a really clear mission. And their mission was to simplify, to make technology easy, that I would argue you could almost use it with your eyes closed. And they applied that mission to lots of different categories. So a lot of people think that a brand mission means that you're stuck in one category. No, it means that you're delivering a common benefit with everything you do. And that's what's enabled Baby Brezza to move from, our first product 11 years ago, which was a food maker to make homemade baby food, to the Formula Pro, which I mentioned a little while ago, to sterilizers, which one of our listeners loves, which is great. Thank you. Genesis. I love the Baby Brezza sterilizer and dryer. That's awesome. Then into bottle warming and beyond, and now into sleep and soothing and even into diapering. So I would argue that everything we've done still ladders back to that core mission statement. And that's why they all can sort of fit under the Baby Brezza umbrella.
Yes, it looks like we got a whole bunch of comments in from Genesis, clearly the lead commenter, and we will go through them. We'll go through some of them.
I want to know, Genesis, what does chocolate drop in corporate America mean? So maybe you could add a comment and explain your name or the what that means. That's cool.
So I will put some of the comments now, and some of the Q&A comments I'll leave for later. But let's just do some shout outs. Looking forward to hearing this interview. Baby Brezza has awesome comments. Genesis, you taught me something today that you could put a comment before we start the live through YouTube. So that's pretty cool. And looks like Genesis also loves the mission of making parenting easier is the key. I do want to break that. I do want to ask you, David, some questions about that. And we will go into that. But first, I do want to hear a little bit more of the origin story. Genesis loves the baby sterilizer and dryer. I'll leave the question about your products. About your product, Genesis had a question: if you have a portable breast milk bottle warmer that you can travel with and TSA approved. We'll leave that for a little bit later. And then Genesis is really engaging here. David, she's answering your question. Oh, that's the name of her book. Oh, wow. We got an accomplished author on here.
Wow, congratulations. That's very impressive to write a book and get it published.
Okay, now I do see we have some more viewers. As I mentioned earlier, anybody who comments will get a chance to win a Baby Brezza instant warmer. So please comment, whether it's Facebook Live, YouTube, or LinkedIn Live. All the comments come to us, and we will be doing a giveaway. Kiwi Atar, thank you so much for your comments. He thinks it's a great interview. And Genesis likes the segment. Now, we are a little bit short, not totally short. We're about a quarter through on time. So we do want the interview to continue. Now, I want to get really into a little bit of your origin story. I understand that you're relatively new compared to the length of the company. So I'm curious to hear about the origin story of the company and your involvement and your relationship to the company, how that started, how that evolved.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually the Baby Brezza brand is one of many brands in a privately held consumer products business, which is known as the Batesh Group. And it's run by and owned by the Batesh family. And they have actually been in the both retail and wholesale space for at least 50 some odd years. So they have deep roots in bringing product to market. The business started in the ladies' handbags category, and that morphed into or expanded into diaper bags, and then eventually into housewares, and then into Baby Brezza. So today I work in the baby division. I had marketing, and we are the number one we're the number one diaper bag manufacturer in the U.S. We are the number 2 baby bedding manufacturer, and we're number 1 in baby appliances globally. So I joined the company a little over 5 years ago, and I was attracted to it because I've spent the last 20 some odd years doing consumer products marketing. So I started my career in large CPG. So I started my career at Nabisco, which became Kraft, working on human snacks and pet snacks. I managed the Milk-Bone brand for 3 years, which I absolutely loved. Big dog lover. And then we turned the Milk-Bone brand around such that Kraft sold it. I joined the acquiring company, which is called Del Monte Pet Products at the time. And that was a short-term stint because they were not based in New Jersey, where I live. And then I joined Merck, which at the time was Schering-Plough Consumer Healthcare. And I worked on a range of OTC products. Long story short, after 5 years at Merck, I joined Nook, which is another major baby feeding brand, and helped drive that business for 6 years. And then it was sold, and I joined the Batesh Group and Baby Brezza, and I love it. And the reason why I mentioned all that is I found in my career, some people are great at big companies where there's a very established process, and you learn how to navigate the process to get things done. And then some people love smaller companies that don't have as much process. They're much more entrepreneurial, and you can really make things happen more quickly. And that's really, as I've learned in my career, what I thrive in. I thrive in those entrepreneurial environments where you have a strategy, you have a vision and a mission, and you have you don't have a lot of layers, you don't have a lot of process, so you can really drive your business. And it really matters in the baby category because it's a fast-paced category. Consumers, we like to say consumers are in and out of our brand in about a year, which is a very short life cycle. So you can't wait. You can't sit on an idea for 6 months because by the time you bring it to market, that baby's already 2 years old. So that's why I love what I do.
Wow, that is both very, very challenging to me, it seems. You have that 1 year to really build the relationship and get them to buy. So you have to have a really good product with a very short sales cycle, which is, like I said, very challenging. The other thing I'm noticing is it sounds like you know how to build companies to exit.
Well, You know what? Unfortunately, I have been part of many brands that have either been acquired or sold or divested, and it's not something I look for. Trust me, because it is always unsettling to change roles. But it happens. It's life, and you know what? You make the best of it. And frankly, and I've learned this, and hindsight is 2020. Every time there's a career change thrust on you, like I've been through multiple times, you always end up in a better place. You always do. And I can guarantee you that I really love what I do now. And I've loved everything that I've done before. But there's a really good fit for me where I am today. And I think that's helped us be as successful as we are.
Awesome. Now, I want to get back to the Baby Brezza, baby, a little more about Baby Brezza and their brand story. But we do have another comment in. Naomi Berman, that's actually my sister, and she just met her new little guy a few weeks ago. So congrats, Naomi. And
Yes,
she loves the Baby
congrats.
Brezza
Nice.
products. So you did mention that you don't have that many products. You started with one product. The company started with one product a couple of years back, and you did mention your most popular product is the regular Baby Brezza machine formula feeder, I think it's called, and that's, did I get that right?
Formula Pro Advanced, the Formula Pro.
Formula Pro Advance, and that's been dubbed the either the Keurig or the Nespresso of the bottle makers. And how long after the company started did you bring that product to market, or
Yeah,
how
so
long ago did that? Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. So the brand started 11 years ago, and really it started, again, the origin of the brand is that, we're the number one diaper bag manufacturer as a company. We're the number two in baby bedding. So we're very good at, making soft goods, cut and sew, as the industry calls it, and delighting parents, delighting babies, delighting toddlers. Stephen, who is the founder and one of the brothers who owns the company, he has four children. And I think after four kids, he realized that, feeding four babies over X number of years is difficult. It's time consuming, it's challenging, and there has to be better ways. So, both internally and externally, the company found out about a one-step food maker. So a machine that would steam and blend baby food at the push of a button. Now, at the time, they didn't really exist. So what did most people do? They like chopped up the vegetables, they steamed them on their stove, and then they went to their blender or to a masher, and that's how they made their homemade baby food, almost one portion at a time. Well, Baby Brezza was quite innovative by launching the original one step food maker back in 2011, which sorry, yeah, 2011, and it was the first machine where you literally pushed one button and it would steam the food and then automatically blend it. So I like to say you would set it and forget it, and when you came back, it's done. And then that one product did really well, I think the company realized they were onto something. That wow, can we leverage technology to help make parenting easier, help make feeding your baby easier? Parents, um, want to spend as much time with their babies as possible. But there are certain required tasks you have to do, like sterilizing bottles and pump parts, like making bottles, like warming bottles. And that's what we've been systematically focusing on, which is how can we simplify these tasks? How can we automate them? How can we take steps out? And, I think, again, the Formula Pro is a great example. I've already described that. But, knowing that Genesis loves the sterilizer dryer, here's another really good example of why people love our brand so much. So prior to the launch of our product, what would you do to sterilize bottles and pump parts and anything that goes in the baby's mouth? And this is what I did, everybody. I have three kids. My oldest is 18 and my youngest is 10. I would stand in front of the stove with a giant spaghetti pot, wait for the water to boil, put all the pump parts that my wife was using in all the baby's bottles in, and then keep pushing them down under the water because they float and they don't sterilize in boiling water unless they're under the water. I call that whack a bottle. You do that for like 10 minutes. Then you have to get a big pair of tongs and you try to scoop them out or pull them out. Make sure you don't burn yourself because some of them are filled with boiling water. And then you put them on a drying rack. and the drying rack's not really sterile, right? It's been sitting out, who knows what's on it. Well, the company realized, this is before my time, wow, there's a better way. So there were electric sterilizers that would do the steaming, but you'd still have to put the stuff on a drying rack. Well, they came up with the idea of, well, why don't we do a machine that does both? And that was the original sterilizer dryer that we still sell today. It is the number one selling sterilizer dryer in the market because it simplifies a basic task of parenting. So you load it up with your stuff, you push a button, and then in 45 minutes or 60 minutes, it's done. It sterilizes and dries, and your baby products are ready to be used again. Now we have continued to innovate in this particular category. So now we actually have 3 sterilizer dryers, and we just launched the newest one probably 2 months ago. And I just said that whole cycle in the original one might take 45, 60 minutes. The latest one we launched, which is called the Super Fast, it does the entire process in 10 minutes. You push a button, it does the entire thing in 10 minutes, and it's selling quite well. And for the parents out there who have babies, and this is what we've learned in our research, obviously people like things to go quickly, but there's a mental benefit to that. Is it eliminates the stress of having to sterilize. You can literally just push the button and you get the bottles or the pump parts in 10 minutes. You don't have to plan the activity anymore. If Joe, you probably wouldn't know this and I wouldn't because we're not women, but if you pump and use a breast pump, you're supposed to sterilize your pump parts every time you use them. And if you have a baby and you're lactating, you need to pump every 3 to 4 hours, give or take. Well, that means you're sterilizing and drying every 3 to 4 hours. You have to think about that. You have to plan it when it takes an hour. With our product, the Super Fast Sterilizer Dryer, you don't have to plan it anymore. You're like, oh my God, I got to pump. All right, push the button, go do something else, maybe change your baby, and then come back and it's ready to go in 10 minutes. That is, transformational to people, and they love it.
I want to go a little bit about. I want to go a little bit back into the history of your company. It sounds like it was really a. You use the term cut and sew. Did I get that correctly?
Correct.
Cut and sew. You're doing bedding, diaper bags. A lot of companies with just general materials. You cut them, create good fabrics out of, and that's a cool marketplace. It sounds like you're focused. The company was focused on the baby industry, bedding, diaper bags, different things, and those are under different brand names, right?
Yeah. I mean, we do. Yeah, yes. So, but the origin of this desire to be innovative actually stems from those original categories because you don't become number one and stay number one in anything unless you constantly innovate and think about how can you delight the consumer, as their needs evolve. And I think, to answer your question, we do sell diaper bags under many different trademarks. So, some of them are our own trademarks, like Banana Fish, which is a very popular diaper bag. But we also license trademarks. So we make all of the Eddie Bauer bags and all of the Jeep bags. So we also sell diaper bags now under Baby Brezza that all have very distinct and unique features versus the average diaper bag. We've also innovated in the baby bedding arena. Like we created this category that's massive now called cuddle pillows, where if you want to excite your toddler to encourage them to go to sleep in their big kid bed, not in the crib anymore, you get them a licensed character stuff for their bedroom. And one of the new categories we created, this was like, I don't know, 10 years ago, was the cuddle pillow. So it's let's call it a 18 to 24 inch miniature version of your favorite licensed character. So it could be one of the pups from Paw Patrol, could be one of the sharks from Baby Shark. We don't have every license. We have all the licenses pretty much except for Disney. Could be PJ Masks, could be Peppa Pig, etc. And we know from research when your toddler is excited to go to their bedroom. I mean, what excites them to go to their bedroom is having this connection to their favorite characters. So you can see how that evolved. cuddle pillows, sheet sets, musical blankets that play like the favorite tunes, that speak little sayings from the characters, etc. So we've taken that innovative mindset and now applied it to, this brand Baby Brezza and some of the more repetitive, mundane tasks of being a parent.
Wow, what I see is that you're really you've really become, or your brand identity is just a serial product launchers to help, like as you said in the beginning, make parenting easier. I do want to break that down. I did allude to the fact that you started, and you mentioned it a number of times. You started with the sew and cut, and you made it very clear that the evolution to technology was not so much a change of course, in as much as the whole brand identity of the company was to be innovative and bring cooler, more beneficial, more optimized stuff to the marketplace for parents.
Yeah,
And it,
yeah, exactly. Sorry, exactly. So I think listen, this company is also opportunistic, right? And I would tell your listeners that sometimes brands they are so focused on their strategy and their path that they actually miss opportunities that might sort of intersect their path, but they have like walls up, because they know exactly what they're doing, and those opportunities just like sort of bounce off the walls. I think probably what happened, and it because I can see it's happening during my tenure, is we know what we're doing, but sometimes an opportunity comes up that you don't anticipate, but you realize it's a big one. You realize it's on strategy, and you're like, you know what? Let's actually embrace it and go with it. And I think there was a belief that there's a way to simplify, and make all of these tasks of feeding easier. And at the same time that the company was thinking about it, this inventor came to the company with this food maker idea, and it's sort of like, because we didn't have walls up, because we're open to input and to other people's ideas, to partnerships, it became a perfect marriage. And I think it not every company is like this. We are, we don't profess to be, you know, uh, we're good. Listen, I think we've done a really good job, but we don't know everything, and people can contribute their thoughts, their ideas, and that's great, and we're open to it, and frankly, we act on it. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. We are in the diapering space as a company and as a brand. Somebody came to us with this amazing idea to revolutionize the use of diaper ointment, and it fit right into our strategy, and we ended up licensing it and launching it a little bit earlier this year, called Baby Brezza Finger Shields. I don't happen to have one here at home, but if you've used diaper ointment, and your sister might be doing this right now, diaper ointment by definition is gooky. It's like greasy, it's gooey, and it doesn't want to come off your fingers and nails after you use it. So you end up using multiple baby wipes, and you start like trying to scrape it off your fingers and nail beds. Well, finger shields, if I wished I had one, it literally slides on your finger. It's like a finger glove, and it has a little tail, so you hold it in place. Imagine my finger were fully covered. I apply the diaper ointment, and when I'm done, I just lift it off and I dispose of it. So now you keep your fingers and nails 100% clean when you're using diaper ointment, whether you're at home or on the go. This was the idea that came to us. It fit into our strategy, and we ended up licensing it exclusively and launching it. And I love the fact that we're open to outsider ideas and inputs, because that's how I think you really drive your business. You marry up what you already know is right with what other ideas are, and you pick the ones that really help support what you're already doing.
this is the finger shield.
Yeah, the Baby Brezza finger shields. Um, like I said, I don't have one here,
Here,
unfortunately.
I could get it. I could get it. I already am
Yeah, it's right on
working.
our website. You can buy it at our website. It's at CVS. It's on Amazon. Buy by Baby, and you can get 40 of them in a little reusable package that has a little flap, and you just slide one out, put it on your finger, use it, throw it
Do you
away.
see my screen?
Not yet.
All right, I guess I am. Oh, I didn't do it right.
They're great. They're really soft, hypoallergenic. There we go. Yeah, so you see how it covers up your finger? You put the ointment on, whether it's a tube or a tub, and then you put it on your baby's, bottom. And when you're done, you can just easily slide it right off your finger and throw it away.
Very cool.
So you can see I was the hand model.
Oh, cool.
Kidding. I'm kidding. That's not my fingers and not my nails.
Very cool.
So, we're innovative. That idea is revolutionary. It's not obviously an appliance, but it fit into our strategy of making parenting easier. That's why we jumped at it. So, our core, like I was saying at the beginning, we can do something like that because it fits into our mission of making parenting easier, and it fits into our umbrella. It's connected to what we're already doing.
Cool. I want to dive a little deeper into that. In the meantime, we got a comment in from LinkedIn. Gabe Hirsch, love the licensing angle.
Great.
So I do want to go a little bit focused on Baby Brezza and also your role marketing Baby Brezza and really bringing it to market. How long ago was the Baby Brezza launched? I do understand that you did mention it was you were in the marketplace for serving new parents through sew and cut innovative products within the diaper bag industry, and then an inventor came to the company, or an inventor collaborated, I don't know the exact relationship with the company, and really produced the first feeding machine, which later evolved to start including the Formula Pro Advance, and that's really taken the baby industry by storm, from what I understand. How long ago was that product launched, and what was the original? Were you at the company before, and what do you know about bringing it to market?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. So again, the brand launched. I think it's the first food maker in 2011, and then a few years later came the first Formula Pro, and then followed the sterilizer dryer, and then our first bottle warmer, the Safe and Smart bottle warmer, and then I joined the company in late 2017. So that's why it's been right about 5 years. And since then, we've actually been approaching our innovation strategy from like a two-pronged perspective. One is, how do we, continue to follow our strategic path and bring out truly innovative solutions in our core focus areas. The second is, are there opportunities to, develop, let's say, more advanced versions of our existing products, so that way we can delight more consumers, more parents in our existing spaces. So a really good example of that in the world of formula makers is, the Formula Pro Advanced, and which was the second generation formula maker, far better than the original one. More refinements, more features, more customization, etc. Easier to use. But then we also launched, let's see, 3 years later, I think, the Wi-Fi version. And we did that because we know consumers want things to be as convenient as possible. And when it comes to feeding your baby in the middle of the night, there's nothing more convenient than being able to push a button, on your phone, and um, you know, the phone app sends a message to the machine, make this bottle. So by the time you get to the kitchen, the bottle's ready. So that's a great example of how we took an amazing machine and product and we developed, let's call it the plussed up version. We've done that in sterilizers. We've done it in bottle warmers. We don't do it in every category, but when we see an opportunity to do that, we obviously will, because, there are some consumers who are willing to pay either a little more or a little less, for, each of our products. I'll give you one other example just to build on the formula maker. So we said, all right, we have our Formula Pro Advanced, then we launched the Wi-Fi one. Well, guess what? About 8 weeks ago, we just launched the first compact formula maker. It's actually a little less expensive. It has less features. but it's smaller and it's designed for travel. We know people are so just reliant on the Formula Pro that we made a smaller one. So it's easier, it's more portable, and it's also perfect for smaller spaces like the nursery, like the bedroom, like grandma's house, like a smaller kitchen in an apartment. So, we really want to delight consumers. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody is interested in automating the bottle making process, but but may have different, let's say financial means, might have different, space availability. So we're trying to meet people's needs with a differentiated line of products.
Very cool. I feel like I have so many different directions to take this, but our time it is limited, so we'll see what we could pack in the
Okay.
next 20 minutes. I'm very curious both about the amount of products Baby Brezza has, your general company's innovation strategy, and if you have a strategy, or is it a little bit just like you mentioned before, by going by really observing the opportunity and analyzing the opportunity. And also I'm super curious what your job as a marketer for a brand that almost stands on its own. So I want to go to those three things, and you could take it however you want, whatever we have time for. Before that, I do want to put in a comment that came in before, because it is somewhat relevant to the travel edition. Do you have a portable breast milk / bottle warmer that you can travel with and TSA approved?
So yes and no. You can take, like, we do sell bottle warmers that are absolutely approved to travel with, but they have to be plugged into the wall. So that is, if you're asking for about a portable bottle warmer that does not need to plug into the wall, we don't have one, unfortunately. So obviously, I recognize that as an opportunity, but we don't have one now. So hopefully that answers your question. In terms of, our innovation strategy, I think what's most important for anybody who's in the world of consumer products is you have to understand both what the consumer needs and consumer wants, and then connect that to what your brand's mission is and what your brand's core competencies are, your company's core competencies. And then when those align, you can actually do some really amazing things. And I think that's what we've done, particularly since I've joined, but even before. And I think we've sort of accelerated what we've been doing. So we've been doing, really trying to delight consumers and making things easier in our core feeding spaces like formula making, bottle warming, sterilizing, food making, etc. But we're also looking at other areas without going into details. We're trying to make the entire process of taking care of your baby easier. But that's where you then bring in your core competencies. For example, we don't make cribs. Are there ways to make a crib easier to use, to set up? I don't know, to clean? Maybe, but that's not our core competency. Our core competency is not in car seats and strollers. So we're not, even though there are probably ways to make those products easier, they're not in our core competency. So therefore, it's not lined up. I hope that makes sense. But there are plenty of opportunities in the world of baby feeding and sleep and soothing and diapering that are in our core competencies, and that's what we focus on. And I really believe that you should have a very tight innovation strategy. But as I mentioned before, sometimes ideas come up that you're not expecting, and you should be open to that, or at least we are. And I think that's helped accelerate our growth and by our willingness to embrace other people's IP, other people's ideas, and it's our openness to licensing those. So that's a little bit on the innovation strategy. I can talk about my role and kind of marketing, but I don't know if you have any follow-up questions.
I do have a follow-up question specifically for that. How do you know when it's a distraction from your core competency, or something to lean into? Is there a cut and fine line, or is it a little bit of trial error, even throw in a little bit of your gut?
I mean, there's no like equation you can use, right? You have to understand what your arenas are, like what your product categories or pillars is what we call them, and then say, all right, does this align or not? I would tell you that it's not just does it align, but a common mistake that people make, particularly inventors and entrepreneurs, is they equate the interest in a product that solves a pain point that they believe is huge. They think it's going to be huge for everybody, and oftentimes it's not. So I have seen, I can't tell you how many ideas that have crossed my desk from inventors and entrepreneurs, even though they think it's like the biggest thing since sliced bread. It's not. And it's very hard to admit that or tell somebody that. But just because you think it's a big idea doesn't mean everybody else does. And as a marketer or as a person in charge of innovation, I have to make sure that whatever we do affects or benefits enough people that it's worth the time and effort to develop it, number one. And number two, that the product we come up with will actually address the problem at a price point people will be willing to spend, right? Products aren't free. And, you know, oftentimes people forget that. Sometimes when you ask somebody, oh, would you like X? And you don't mention that it's going to cost something, people are like, yeah, sure. But then when you say, oh, by the way, you got to pay $9.99 for it or $99.99, nah. So it's really important that you have to think about these things. And I give you one example because I always remember this, and I doubt they're listening because this was like 8 or 9 years ago. But I had a mom and a dad come to my office when I was at Nook, and they said they had the best bottle idea ever. And I was like, of course I want to hear about it. It was a little contraption for the bottle that would prevent spit up from going back into the bottle. So if you're feeding your baby a bottle, obviously the baby's sucking on the nipple, milk's coming out, and some backwash is going in, right? It's a two-way exchange. Not a lot, but there's saliva in your mouth and it happens. So because babies don't always finish their bottle, and if some saliva that has bacteria in it goes into the bottle, I guess theoretically it could over time spoil the bottle. I mean, that's why they tell you when you make formula, I think you're only supposed to let it sit out for an hour, breast milk a little bit longer, and at some point you have to discard it because it becomes potentially contaminated with bacteria. Well, I told them honestly, I'm like, I know this is super important to you, but I really don't think this is a pain point for the vast majority of people. I don't think most parents are concerned by this. So that was the first thing. Second was what they were proposing was really going to be challenging to even produce at a reasonable price point. And also there are like 20 different types of bottles, and this had to fit inside the bottle. And now you're going to have to produce 20 different versions of it. So it's going to get super complicated. So you got to think about all these things before you even embrace an idea. It's got to be meaningful to enough people. They have to be willing to pay for it. It has to be feasible. You have to be able to do it based off your core competencies. And then only if all those things align, then maybe you should move forward with it. But sometimes you choose not to.
That makes sense. I do want to go a little bit more into the categories of products, your role as a marketer, if we
Sure.
can get to that. But before that, I'm very curious. In the cut and sew industry, there is competition. It's a given. I'll say it, and this is obviously relative, but it's generally easier to go into than a technology product. You don't have that initial IP. You could cut and sew something out of your bedroom, and I'm being extreme here.
Right.
And if it's a cool enough product, you could get a couple people to buy it. With the technology products, you need that heavy upfront investment. Is that and I'm actually curious about this. I haven't seen that many. I saw maybe one other similar product in the marketplace, and I'm sure it's very, very different, but one that looks somewhat similar without going into that specific product. How do you maintain number one, either not having too many other competitors or being number one within that competitive marketplace? Everyone's trying to go into technology, lots of money's coming into technology, lots of money's coming into the baby space. How are you preventing an Elon Musk from deciding that I want to start this and I'm going to blow something up?
A
And
solar powered
obviously that's an
formula maker.
extreme example. What?
Elon Musk and a solar powered formula maker. I mean, listen, I think it, well, it's a lot of things. There's no one answer, but I think it starts with your brand. So, if you really have a brand that's meaningful, that truly delivers a benefit, a promise to enough people, and you do it well, that brand starts to gain value, and therefore you start to insulate your products from your competitors because of what your brand is offering. So that's one of the most important things. And there's a lot that goes into that, obviously, to nurture that brand, to establish it, make sure it's meaningful, and make sure people know about it. The second is obviously intellectual property. I mean, if we can launch products that have strong patent protection, obviously we want to do that, but not every product does or can. So I'll give you an example, and it's the product we're giving away. We launched the instant warmer, I don't know, I think it was in 2018. And the reason why we launched it is the biggest pain point in warming bottles is the amount of time it takes. So if you have a baby and you use a traditional bottle warmer, by the way, I used it for all three, you put the bottle in the warmer and you wait for it to heat up. It could take 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and oftentimes it won't heat evenly. It might overheat it. And in the middle of the night, your baby's screaming. It's terrible. So when we as a team discussed, like, what could we do to make this better, one of the first ideas that came up was, why do you have to heat the bottle up in the first place? What if you started with warm water? And as we started to evolve that idea, almost turning the category or the process on its head, it led to the instant warmer of, well, let's just give you a tank of water that's warm day and night, 24/7. And when you're ready to make the bottle, you use warm water. You never have to heat up a thing again in your life. And that was the inspiration for the instant warmer, is that we launched it, like I said, I believe it was in 2018, and it has been an enormous success. But now we have some competition. There's no patents on it. This idea of a warm water dispenser already existed, but it had never been done, and never been done the way we did it in the baby space. So we had a first mover advantage for several years, and now we have some, we just call it knockoff competition from overseas. Similar product, not the same brand, but a lot cheaper. And that will take away some of your business. You can't patent everything. Our product was not patentable, but first mover advantage is meaningful. So we won't we won't avoid innovating without a patent, but that actually helps. But that's your second way to kind of insulate and maintain your competitive edge. And the third is to keep innovating, to keep pushing your brand further. Because if you stay ahead of your competitors, and I think we've done a really good job at that, then you're gonna, there's no reason why you can't protect your number one status, right? If you're doing all these things. So we focus on this every day.
Okay, we have only a couple more minutes, about 8 9 minutes before we do the raffle. For anybody who's watching live, we have a giveaway. We will be giving away to one of our commenters the Baby Brezza Instant Warmer, and we'll be selecting one of our commenters. All you have to do is, if you're listening into live, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, just post a comment on that live stream and it will come directly to us, and we will be doing it at the end of the show. Now, I really want to focus on the go-to-market strategy from the time from before you came, where you're at, where you started, and how you're evolving. And I do want to push a little bit, because you have an incredible brand, very very unique. The brand is bringing something uniquely to the marketplace, and if I'll be a little extreme over here, it's possible some brands are so have focused so much on their brand and have such a strong brand promise that they don't have to do much marketing. And it's just so unique. They really don't have to do much marketing, and this seems like something that's within your brand's potential. You look at the product and it's new. Don't, like, I need to see it once and I'll remember it. The Keurig for baby bottles. Everyone I talk to about it knows about it. And in a certain sense, that because you have such a short life cycle of the 9 months to a year before someone has to know about it to make a purchase, you already have to build that relationship right away. You don't have 2, 3, 4, 5 years for that. So I do get that. But in your role as marketing, and just for our audience, brand is really the brand identity, the products. Marketing is bringing it to the marketplace, getting it in shops, listing it on Amazon. Those are just a little bit of the examples. What is Baby Brezza doing specifically to bring it to the marketplace? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's here's what I would say. So the first thing is you have to figure out who your consumer is, and then reach them when they're open to receiving your messaging and interested, and reach them at the right time, right? So for us, there are two major windows that you would be open to a Baby Brezza product, right? One is prenatally while you're building your registry, and the other is postnatally as your life evolves with your baby, right? So postnatally, you know, most women in America get 6 weeks to 12 weeks of maternity leave. About 60 to 65% of women go back to work, part or full time. Oftentimes during this time frame, you might switch from all breastfeeding to some breastfeeding, or some breastfeeding to no breastfeeding. My point is that, like, formula is coming into your world, your life's getting a little bit turned upside down because you're going back to work. It's changing a lot of your actions, your behaviors, your daily routines changing. So that's another entry point in general for Baby Brezza, particularly the formula maker, the Formula Pro. So you have to understand that, because that's how you know when you want to reach people, and then you have to think about how they receive information. What are they using? So for us, because we're targeting mom, we're talking to her vis-a-vis social media, vis-a-vis search engines, Amazon, baby publishers, PR through, the media that she's consuming. And, I always say we need to surround her. We want to touch the consumer, 5 to 10 times in a given let's say 4-week period, to make sure she's aware of our brand and our product. And hopefully it will drive an action. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that's a very simplistic kind of way to think about it. I would say to you, Joe, in this day and age, there are very few brands that don't need to do any marketing. It's so cluttered out there. The purchase journey is so nonlinear that the days of just make a product and ship it and people see it at Target or Walmart and it'll fly, those days are over, if you ask me. With the growth of e-commerce and the rise of .coms and Amazon, you don't just put a product on Amazon and then they see it. It's buried, 10 or 20 pages, beneath the search results. So you have to market your products. You have to do it right, to get into their consideration set. Now, if you spend, $500 million, in a couple years, can you ride those coattails and shrink your spend, over time? Maybe, but you got to put that massive investment in up front to ride the coattails. And most brands don't have that. We surely don't. And like I said earlier, because my core consumer turns over every 12 months, give or take, there are no coattails to ride, right? Because the person I've reached, let's say pregnant, prenatal 6 months, who's out of my category when the baby's 6 months old, so a year later, it's great that she's familiar with us. She might buy us as a gift after her baby's 6 months old, if she goes to a shower, or her friend has a baby or something like that. She might have another baby a year or 2 or 3 later, but there's a whole group of new moms that have come in who may never have heard of us. So we're in an always on environment with our marketing, because babies, moms come in and out every day. So that's how we approach it, and this is what my team does. I do a lot of it myself. My team does a lot of it. We have some agencies that help us. Obviously, it's a team effort, and that's how you succeed.
Yeah, we will have to wrap up in about a minute or two. So I do want to do the raffle. Ask you a final question.
Sure.
I do feel like there's so much. We just barely scratched the surface, but I really gracious. I feel very gracious for your time. Yeah, there's just so much more. And one thing I can say is we've worked on campaigns before, and what I loved about the working with you is you really took a holistic approach and really worked with us together on the campaign to make it work. And it was like figuring it out together and really getting down and dirty. It wasn't just spending. It wasn't just I could afford to buy 1,000 billboards all over town. It was really being creative and strategic about what actually makes sense, what could work, and what could actually long term drive the sales. And really the balance, which I find a lot of people have a hard time with, understanding the difference between brand awareness, marketing, and sales, and how it's one cycle, and you have to have them all and allocate everything, allocate the resources accordingly. The brand has to be strong, the marketing has to be strong, and the sales process has to be strong, and they all have to support each other for the health and sustainability of the business.
No, well said. I mean, we try to be as 360 as possible. We try to, I mean, we try to make sure that most importantly, the person we're talking to knows what we're offering, the benefit. Invite that person to our website to learn more. We have products that are called search goods. They tend not to be impulsive. You're not going to drop $200, on a whim. Typically, some people do, but typically you're going to think about it. You might want to read some reviews, watch a video, etc. So we're deliberate. We try to be thorough and helpful. And I can say it's worked because I can see our growth.
Cool. I'm just preparing for the raffle. Random. Let's see if this works. Oh, sorry. Okay, fine. We will choose a commenter. Either you can choose a commenter, or I'll do the random number generator. Do you have any preference?
Do the random number generator
Okay,
just so everybody has an equal chance of winning.
perfect. So I'm actually going to do that live here. Once again, thank you so much. I guess we'll do the random generator, and then I'll thank the audience. So let's see.
I'm just
Let's
gonna
see if
just
this.
send a quick text message as you're doing this.
No worries. I'm actually going to share the random generator website so you all see it's Square and Fair. How do we do this here? Here we go. I just searched one. So we have 4 commenters. So let me just make sure we have 4. They all came in. We have Genesis. We have Kiwi, we have Naomi, and Gabe. 4 commenters. Lower limit is 1, upper limit is 4. Let's see if this works. Oop, we got 2. So that was
Kiwi.
Kiwi. Kiwi has won. Thank you so much for everyone who participated.
Yeah, congratulations, Kiwi. We need to know your address. So I don't know if you're still on. And if you are, can you comment your address, or maybe you want to do it privately? So I don't know if Joe, if there's a way that
Yeah, I could he logged in on Facebook, so I could just message on Facebook.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Great.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much. This is episode 22, I believe, of the Brand Spotlight. We live stream on Google, on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We are repurposed as an audio podcast on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and your favorite podcast app. David, thank you so much. Do you have any parting words, and where can we find you?
I just want to say thank you. If everybody, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful and valuable. And if you are interested in Baby Brezza, please visit our website, babybrezza, 2z's.com, and sign up for Baby Brezza Rewards. You can get a 15% discount off your first order of $75. And I really appreciate it. Joe, good to see you. Have a great weekend and holiday. And more than happy to do this. This was great.